And if ever there was a time for self-awakening and self-liberation and self-empowerment, this is the time. And breathing is the quintessential way to self-empower, to self-awaken, to self-liberate, and to connect. I mean, in these days of social distancing, we have got to find ways to connect more deeply. And we got to get creative about this human connection, because that human connection is one of the ultimate healers. There's always somebody who is just overflowing with energy. And in a system, people who are low on energy, that energy just moves where it needs to go. So we need to be uplifting ourselves. And in the process, we automatically uplift others. So in my country, there's this uncivil war happening, and, it's really necessary that we find that part of us that we all have in common. And all of our differences, they're really on the surface. As soon as you start to go a little deeper, I've been to 66 countries, and, underneath it all, everyone's the same. All the differences are on the surface. And so if I can't connect to that deep place in myself, how can I recognize it in you? And how can we transcend these superficial differences and this sort of black and white and back and forth and us and them, and just somehow, Rumi talked about it. Let's meet in a place beyond me and you, beyond right and wrong, beyond us and them and good and bad. Let's find that place and meet in that place. And so, we're being called. We're being called to rise up and shed some of our old baggage and get over some ancient habits and patterns and conflicts, and just finally, as a human race, let's move on from from this jungle tribal kind of programming, and let's realize that we're all in this together. And it's impossible. If I'm connected to you, how can I do violence on you without hurting myself? The only way that's possible is if I deny or ignore my connection to you. And so breathing awakens that connection, where we realize, what, we're all in this together. A lot of beautiful flowers in the same garden, a lot of single rays of light coming from the same source. Let's wake up to that, and let's start living from that, and not just have it be an intellectual philosophy. Oh, we're all connected. What a beautiful spiritual idea. We're all one. We're all connected. Yeah, great. I'm glad you got it. But can you feel it in your cells? And can you live from that place? And can you have integrity with that realization? And so that's the challenge. And breathing gives us a way to navigate that. We all have a lot of emotional detoxing to do. We have a lot of psychological detoxing to do. We have a lot of social detoxing to do. And breathing is the quintessential detoxing element. 70% of our metabolic waste is eliminated through breathing. Only 3% through defecation, only 7% through urination, and about 20% through perspiration. So if you think having a good bowel movement and working up a good sweat is healthy for you, then you have got to practice breathing every day.
Yeah. I would like to hear that on the news sometime. Just a headline that just scrolls underneath the people speaking. I want to touch on one of the most significant, again, simple moments in the book, that you say, knowing when to take charge and knowing when to get out of your own way. And we've all heard that before, get out of your own way. What does it really mean? It's kind of very interpretive, isn't it? But what I got from that was so profound. It was just like a new way of, maybe the breathwork allowed me to see it in a new light. But it touched me because it was more than just get out of my own physical way. It was my mind. Doing the breathwork allows me to just separate myself from my head, my mind, get out of that way. And it is,
that might be the longest journey we need to make, right? The journey from our head to our heart. What is it? 12 inches, Yeah, where you're right on with that.
Yeah, and it's just knowing when to take charge of, yeah, okay, I'm going to put a lot of intention into this, but I'm going to know when I need to get. It's kind of a fine balance, isn't it? It's hard for some people because you over intellectualize it, and you don't
Yeah.
necessarily know. Like wanting to take charge is, well, when to be in your heart space and when not to.
Well, yeah. I mean, breathing actually makes it simple to apply this so you don't have to figure it out. So, in our relationship to the breath, we have two possible positions. I can do the breathing, or I can allow the breath to breathe me.
Mhm.
I can control the breath, or I can allow the breath to come and go the way it wants. And so, in the actual practice of breath work, we get to develop this skill of taking charge. I mean, sometimes we need to paddle our canoe if we're going to get anywhere. And with the breath, we learn how to let go and surrender to something else in our heart to come through. We can put the oars in the boat, and we know when to let the river take us. And so I think many people, they're paddling when they don't need to, and they got their oars in their boat and they're sitting on their butts when they should be paddling like crazy. And so they haven't developed this intuitive ability to really know, am I coming from my head or am I coming from my heart? Is this thought that I got, is it coming from my programming and my conditioned mind, or is it a genuinely creative thought? And the energy that I'm living on, is it adrenalized energy, which is not sustainable, and ultimately we're going to crash and burn, or is it genuine energy that I'm living on and fueling from? And breathing helps us sort that out. If I'm doing the breathing and I'm meeting any resistance, I'm meeting some resistance in myself. And when I'm afraid to let go and surrender, I'm afraid to let go of something in me and to surrender to something in me. And so breathing brings us right face to face with whatever it is we need to let go of, whatever it is we need to open and expand into, whatever it is we need to release, to wake up to. And so it takes all the theory and the philosophical confusion out of it. I take a breath right now, and I'm inviting something. And when I exhale, I'm relaxing into something. And if we keep doing that, what's going to happen is you're going to begin to open to more and more of life, more and more of who you are. And you're going to learn to let go and surrender more and more into what is and into what wants to be. And so the thing about breathing is it's an action. It's a primal action. And it's like anything else. It's like exactly this. If you haven't learned how to control your breath, you don't know how to control yourself. If you haven't learned how to let go of your exhale, you haven't learned how to let go of pain or let go of fear or let go of anxiety. If you haven't learned how to navigate the feelings and sensations that come up when you breathe, you don't know how to navigate life. And so everything keeps coming back down to the breath. And any progress you make or any awakening you have in relationship to the breath, it carries over into your whole life and into everything. Breathing is the primal way of communicating. Breathing is the primal movement of life in us. Breathing is a primal action we take. And so it's not a cliche. It's not just a pretty kind of philosophy. Breathing is life. Breath is life. And our relationship to our breath is an expression, a creative expression, and a reflection of our relationship to our body, to life, to each other, to ourselves, and to the world. And the sooner people wake up to the breath, the sooner they wake up to who they are, why they're here, and what life is all about.